How many times did they actually, her poking Caitlin Clark in the eye? And that really had me thinking, like, damn, how many times did they actually, drop the ball and didn't call stuff against Caitlin? Now, Caitlin got called for a technical for hitting the back of the backboard, but somebody viciously clotheslined her. We're not getting a call for that.
The WNBA refs must think they're hosting a comedy show with the way they're calling Caitlin Clark's games. Their officiating is pure clown behavior. They wouldn't recognize a fair call if it smacked them in the face. 1 second, Caitlin's getting body slammed with no whistle. The next, she sneezes and boom, technical foul. But here's the real kicker. They just got caught pushing an agenda, and the evidence is downright embarrassing. Buckle up, because this mess is about to be exposed.
They need to be investigated ASAP. We see what's happening with Caitlin Clark. There's no reason you shouldn't be protecting your star player, because without Caitlin Clark, there won't be no sold-out arenas.
The WNBA refs really thought they could get away with what they pulled last season. Oh, they actually believed no one would notice how they treated Caitlin Clark like some random gym class player, while everyone else got superstar-level calls. They were out here blowing the whistle if someone so much as looked at other players the wrong way. But Caitlin, she could get tackled, tripped, or straight up clotheslined, and the refs would just stand there like they were watching a Broadway show.
I don't want to see none of the calls being missed like we seen last year, bro. These referees have to get it together. Now, we know the Indiana Fever front office did everything they had to do, put the right pieces around Caitlin Clark, make sure they make it far in the playoffs, and possibly get a WNBA championship. Well, that part is done. We got a new team, we got a new coach. They got everything they need to do to take off for the 2025 season. The only thing left is these WNBA referees. This need to be talked about, just like it was supposed to be talked about at the conclusion of that season. And I'm back on a bumper, bro. I am not letting up on them damn WNBA referees, because they are the biggest haters.
It was like they had a secret handbook titled How Not to Call Fouls Against Caitlin Clark. Her opponents were practically rehearsing WWE finishing moves on her, and the refs would just shrug like, she'll be fine. Meanwhile, if Caitlin so much as breathed in another player's direction, boom, whistle, technical foul, free throws. Somebody call security, because apparently exhaling near an opponent is now a flagrant foul.
Offensive fouls are definitely surprising at times. I feel like I do get held.
She sold this flop perfectly. I gotta tip my hat to it. Had her hand on her chest. Most people who flop, they always do the little face thing. And she sold it perfectly. I gotta give it to her. Here's like a play from a different game. Watch Caitlin's reaction.
Excuse me, they got it on Caitlin Clark.
She wanted to really call out the ref.
There were games where Caitlin got fouled so hard it looked like she was auditioning for a stunt double role in an action movie. Arms flying, bodies hitting the floor, defenders treating her like a human bumper car. But the refs? They were out here staring at the Jumbotron like, that's just good defense.
The viewership on TV would not be like it is now, where everybody's watching it because it's must-watch TV. But we are seeing how she's being treated. She's being pushed around, she's being slapped around, sometimes she's being punched around, and the fouls just keep getting harder and harder.
And let's talk about consistency, or the complete lack of it. One game, a defender can hip check Caitlin into another time zone with no call. The next, some random role player gets their shoelace stepped on, and the refs come sprinting in like lifeguards at a pool, yelling, and one. The double standard was wilder than a rookie trying to guard a veteran in the post. But the best part, the refs never explained anything.
You have to be great as a ref. You have to be consistent. You have to. It can't be inconsistent. It can't be AAU refs.
No accountability, no acknowledgement, just pure gaslighting. Caitlin would take hits harder than a quarterback in the pocket, stand up looking for justice, and the refs would already be halfway down the court, pretending they didn't hear a thing. At this point, she needed to bring a body cam to games just to get some evidence. And let's not forget the times she got called for offensive fouls for simply existing. Dribbling? Offensive. Cutting through the lane? Offensive. Looking at the basket? Offensive. It's like the refs woke up every morning and asked themselves, how can we make Caitlin Clark question reality today?
She's been going through the trenches this year. They've definitely been,
But you see that? You see how the hand starts out like this, and then she goes down and says, I'm poking this bitch in the eye.
Basically.
Let's see you make a three-pointer with one eye,
But you know, again, that goes back to that. If you want to be the greatest, you got to deal with the hate and the haters, and people that are doing dirty shots and trying to take you out. That's normal.
It's what Jordan went through, right? It's what Jordan went through
for sure.
She had a black eye.
Social media caught everything. The refs thought they were slick, but the internet never forgets. Every missed call, every blatant foul, every time Caitlyn got mugged, it was all documented. The WNBA got dragged so hard that even non-basketball fans were asking, how is this legal? The refs were so bad it felt like they were flipping coins at halftime to decide who to punish. And of course, Caitlyn Clark got the worst of it every time. It wasn't just bad officiating, it felt personal. Now the league is finally investigating, and it's about time. Half these refs wouldn't even get hired for a middle school game, yet they were out there making calls like they had a vendetta. The worst moment, the infamous eye poke from Dejanay Carrington.
For example, what really made me start thinking about this was the Dejanay Carrington situation. Yesterday, I did a Dejanay Carrington video kind of breaking down that whole thing, technical on that. They didn't call nothing on that for her poking Caitlyn Clark in the eye, and that really had me thinking like, damn, how many times did they actually...
Ah yes, the eye poke. A moment so ridiculous it deserves its own Hall of Fame exhibit. Dejanay Carrington practically stuck her whole hand in Caitlyn Clark's face, like she was digging for the last Pringle in the can. And what did the refs do? Absolutely nothing. No whistle, no review, not even a simple, hey, maybe don't insult people on live television. They just let it slide like they had watched the most obvious foul in history and thought, asterisk, we've seen worse asterisk. Meanwhile, Caitlyn so much as breathes near a defender, and the refs are already blowing their whistles like a lifeguard spotting a shark. Illegal screen? Offensive foul? Breathing too hard? Looking at an opponent the wrong way? They called everything on her, except an actual travel. Which is ironic, considering half the league treats the rule book like a bedtime story they stopped reading in 6th grade. And now, the league is actually looking into this. You mean to tell me somebody finally realized, hey, maybe our referees shouldn't be officiating like they have a personal vendetta against a rookie. Maybe someone in the WNBA office finally watched the games and thought, this seems a little suspicious.
When are the refs going to do their job? As a matter of fact, when is the WNBA going to do their job? Because there should be some suspensions, check. There should be some fines, check. And you should be setting an example for your star player. Because God forbid this young lady gets hurt.
Flopping, after she actually gets tackled. Some of these refs might not be back next season, and honestly, that's the best news Caitlyn Clark has gotten in a while. If they get replaced, maybe she'll finally get a fair game where she isn't treated like a criminal just for being on the court. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Knowing the WNBA, they'll just bring in new refs who still hate her, just with different names. Maybe even a soccer ref who hands her a red card for. The refs had selective vision all season. Caitlyn was getting hacked left and right, and they just stood there like NPCs. Kennedy Carter practically tackled her mid-game, and the refs waved it off. But when Caitlyn barely breathed on someone, whistle. And the best part? The flagrant on Carter wasn't even called during the game. The league had to review it asterisk after asterisk. Everyone went home to finally admit, oh yeah, maybe that was a foul.